Hey everyone, real quick before this gets started, I didn't realize until after I rendered this that it was recording in a resolution that was higher than what I was filming in. It happened when OBS updated and I didn't realize that it switched it, so some of the video is a bit grainy and a bit pixelated, but it is watchable. I just wanted to let you guys know, and sorry about the snafu. So please enjoy. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Ninetale Hobbies and my series Noob for the Noob God. This one we're going to be learning the basics of layering technique. So far from what I've learned is, put down a good base coat. Even if you're zenithal highlighting, do it where it naturally lays and everything, but just make sure that you have a nice solid base coat layer, because the way I like to do it is throw down my mid-tone as my base layer. Some people like to throw down their darkest tone and then build up from that, but I like to throw down the mid-tone because then I'm able to control, by layering in my darks and my lights, anything I don't like I can go back with my mid-tone color and clean up a lot easier. So here I come in with my darkest tone. There's no blacks, no whites in any of this. There are only gradations of blue. And I start to lay in my first shadows. I'm not overly worried about getting everything placed correctly the first time. I'm just kind of blocking everything in, getting a general feel for where I absolutely want my light source to be. And it's okay if you're going through this and you don't care much for where your highlights are. Like if it doesn't feel right to you, you can change them, at any point really, and use your previous highlights as a roadmap as to where you want to change it to. And you'll notice in some of this the gloves are getting done as well, but I wasn't able to get the filming that I wanted on them to also kind of show the steps, but I used the same colors as I did in the wet blending tutorial. Then I'm coming in with my first highlights. The colors that I used were ultramarine blue, dark Prussian blue for the shadows, and then the highlights were done with electric blue and void shield blue. And I just start laying these down where I think the light source is going to hit. I'm just doing a generic 45-degree angle. And I end up moving these highlights around a little bit, especially on the arms, because they just didn't initially feel right to me. But what I'm doing is blocking in the first highlight, and then with layering each progressive highlight or shadow, you're going to go right up to, but not over, your previous highlight. So it's going to be like a stair-stepped, tiered process of lights and darks. And don't worry about if you think your highlight is too bright or too contrasting initially. With the layering and the blending and everything, it'll tone it down. And even if after all of that it's too much, you can always come in afterwards and make a nice thin glaze and just run it over that, and it'll help tone down everything and kind of pull it as a cohesive whole together. Yeah, when you're laying in your highlights, remember that when you move your brush, wherever you move it to last and pick it up is going to deposit the most amounts of paint. So that's going to be where your brightest point is, wherever your brush stroke ends. So whenever you're doing that, remember that your brightest point, if you're not just laying in your first highlight, your brightest point is going to be where you leave your brush off at. And that was the first highlight done. Now I'm coming in with the second one, and as you can tell, I'm not quite filling in that entire space that it's at, just little bits here and there. Yeah, the more layers that you put on, the smaller the area is going to get, and to the point where single brush strokes or touch with your brushes is going to make a big difference as to how it reads with how bright the highlight is, or how intense it is, or the shadows. But like I was saying before, you can always go back with this method and put in your midtones or your shadows, or move them around a little bit with just a couple of strokes of your brush. And at this point, I've got kind of everything put in the way I want. So I'm doing actually a little bit of wet blending. I'm coming in with my light. I'm not even cleaning my brush. I'm a brush licker, so I just put it in my mouth, get it clean enough. I put in some darks, and then I cleaned it again, and then put in my midtones, and I'm actually glazing it, and as you can see, it's kind of pulling everything together. And again on the chest, I'm just darkening my shadows, making my darks dark and my lights lighter so I can get some real nice contrast going in. And at the end, it's all about just kind of playing back and forth and getting those individual brush strokes to read the way you want to. So you'll spend as much time on this last step as you did on the rest of the model, just kind of dialing everything in. As you can see, I'm darkening up the bottom part of the thigh, but the very top is still going to be the lightest, because that's where the sun, the light source is going to hit it the strongest. And the same thing with the chest. But play around, never be afraid of putting a highlight or a shadow somewhere, because you can always fix it. It's paint. And I really enjoyed this, and hopefully this was helpful. And next one's going to be tackling gold NMM for the first time. So thank everyone for watching. Tell me what you think about the video. I'd love to hear from you. And we'll see you next time we paint.